figures vary. Some say over 500, some say over 300, but there are hundreds of indigenous languages in Nigeria. Which of them do you speak? We did a little game before the show asking each of us to say, God bless Nigeria, in our mother language. I wonder what it will be for you. You can send in that, maybe a video or an audio or text, what God bless Nigeria means in your mother language. But today is the International Mother Language Day. We know how important our culture is, not just for our identity, but for a number of things. In fact, a lot of people say your technology is literally built on your culture, but we're seeing that fast getting eroded across board, from even the Gen Zs to the digital natives, and you just wonder what would happen to our mother languages or indigenous languages in the next 10, 20 years. That conversation we're going to have right away. We're joined on the show this morning by Oluchi Anoro. She's an Igbo language advocate, startup co-founder, and a pharmacist. Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I must say I love the hair. It speaks indigenous already.
Yeah.
Good to have you on the morning break.
Same here, thank you.
But she's not the only one joining us on the show. We also have Anthony Otagbe, who's the Chief Executive Officer, Izesan Limited, joins us live from our Abuja studio. Anthony, good morning. Welcome to the morning brief.
Morning.
I just want to put you guys on the spot. How do you say God bless Nigeria in your mother language? And I'll start from Oluchi. How do you say God bless Nigeria?
Chukwu gozie Nigeria.
Chukwu gozie Nigeria. Yeah. I like that. Anthony, this might be a bit tricky for you. We'll come to your story, but how do you say it in your language? Your mother language, that is.
That would be Osnoblade by Nigeria.
I love that.
That's a long one.
Long one, right?
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a day we're celebrating, and you know it goes deep for us because we're very cultural people. We are really cultural, and I wonder what this means to you. How would you describe where we're at now with our culture, particularly the language, which is at the core of any culture?
Well, I would say that mother tongue is gradually eroding because of a lot of factors. Let's say immigration.
Right.
You know, I don't know currently if it's still part of the in public schools, if languages is still a compulsory thing for you to do. I remember back then when I was in secondary school, we had to learn your own mother tongue and then another Nigerian language. Right. That was my first exposure to learning Yoruba, and I would have loved to learn more, but you know, I just had to drop it and focused on learning Igbo. So I think, and then also the fact that our grandparents, their generation is gradually declining. And I mean, I lost one of the, why I can speak my dialect. I'm from Imo State, Owerri particularly. So why I can speak my dialect is because I grew up with my grandma. She's late now, by the way. So it really helped me a lot. Even my mom, I can say she's jealous that I speak better than her. Like, she's amazed at how well I speak my language. So yeah, I think those are one of the factors that are affecting the fact that I think that our mother language, if care is not taken, is gradually declining.
Interesting. And Anthony, I'll come to you because you're doing something quite interesting with technology, with an app helping Nigerians, children, adults to learn their mother language. But I'd like you to tell us your story, because a lot of Nigerians will hear you speak and think, he's got that accent. He probably doesn't understand his mother language. But you've proven us wrong. So tell us about what inspired you to come up with that idea to preserve our mother languages.
Well, Kayode, as you rightly said, I have an accent because I was born and raised in the U.S. But that's pretty much what informed my view as far as why I decided to create or start this company, Izesan Limited. I was basically the only one in my family that couldn't speak our mother language or our mother tongue. And so there was often, many times, whether it be in family gatherings or things like that, I would be the one left out trying to understand what my parents are saying, what my sisters are saying. And at a certain point, I just got fed up with that and said, you know, people, you know, are asking me, where are you from? wherever you go. And I'm saying I'm Nigerian, but I can't even identify, I can't speak the language. I feel like an outsider in my own home. So when I got to about age 17, 18, I decided to set out on a journey to learn the language, my language, which is Esan, from Edo State. And it was very difficult because there weren't any resources out there. At the time, if you Googled Esan language resources, you would barely see anything. And I said, okay, well, it was a very big challenge to learn it on my own because I had to just basically speak to my parents, call my grandparents in the village, just go through Herculean efforts to try and learn this obscure language. And I wanted to make it easier for my contemporaries, people just like myself, that were in the diaspora. But then I found out later on that this problem is actually a very big problem in Nigeria as well. And so I think it's a great opportunity right now because we're at a crossroads as a people, as a country, to try and see how we can recover ourselves. I think it's really an existential crisis that we were finally confronting. And so I'm very excited that we're taking note of celebrations like today.
Well, Mr. Otagbe, your accent is distinct. I'm just going to quickly ask this before I go to my main question. I want you to clarify, was it an intentionality on the part of your parents to impress it upon you to speak your native language, or it was just a personal resolve?
It was definitely a personal resolve. Like I said, I was motivated based on my personal circumstances, being the only one in my family that couldn't speak the language. My sisters had the advantage of actually spending time, about 3 years in Nigeria when they were young. And so that was, when they were in the village, they were able to, get exposed to the culture and learn the language naturally. Whereas my own was sort of more clumsy, banging my head against the wall, trying different techniques, So yeah, it was a very, very personal goal.
And that's remarkable. So with Izesa, the process of learning the language has been digitized, so to speak. So it speaks to now the ability to be able to measure the acceptance level of our local languages by this generation. So what can you say about that acceptance level since you started Izesa?
Well, I can say that as a people, I think collectively we understand that this is a problem. We love to gather around and talk about how bad things are in the country, how we're, sort of losing our ways. So we all collectively understand that this is a problem. We understand that this is an issue. But I think the greater challenge now is sort of galvanizing that political will and support to be able to really change the culture, I think, essentially, is what we need to do. Because we're an English-based society and we have a colonial past. But how do we forge forward and ensure that the future reflects our past? And we have to have the courage to face that. And I think, the government has made great strides in this regard by passing the National Language Policy in 2022, which mandates that children from primary 1 to primary 6 should be taught in their mother tongue. I think this is a great step forward. So gradually, we're seeing the light, and it's a great time.
Let me come to you, Oluchi, on this particular issue that he raised. When it comes to learning, unfortunately, because of what they call neo-colonialism or colonialism or where we're coming from, people measure your level of intelligence maybe because of how you speak or how you don't speak. So sometimes somebody doesn't express, if one doesn't express himself quite well, the person may be wise, but because can't articulate, they may just downplay the level of intelligence that's coming from that individual. So do you also agree that if we start making some of the subjects we learn in schools, including mathematics, because I wonder how Chinese and all of these people are so great at what they do without using English, do you think it's going to help us, be at par and even go greater than what we have across the world? Because Nigerians are really doing well. Maybe we can do better.
Yeah, okay. First of all, the first part of your question, I think, yes, subconsciously people judge, especially people who didn't grow up in Nigeria, such as Anthony. Yeah, they judge them based on, not even I wouldn't say their intelligence, I would say the authenticity of them being African or coming from where they are. So I can remember back then in school, I know someone that she came back to Nigeria to do a postgrad program, but then again, I think I was even also guilty because I kept questioning indirectly the authenticity of her being an Igbo person, because when she spoke, I'm like, oh, so you can speak Igbo? I'm like, it was a pet peeve for her, like, I'm Igbo, I'm Nigerian, I can speak Igbo, interestingly. So yes, I think we subconsciously judge people that, oh, okay, she's not deep-rooted enough. In terms of what is happening, or, the second part of your question, I think incorporating, language in schools so far, it's not very efficient, in my opinion. It's trying, is a right step in the right direction. It's trying, but look at me. I was made to learn Yoruba, which is a good thing. But then again, ask me, the little Yoruba I know right now is maybe go come. So I think a lot more needs to be done, and the best way to actually solve that problem beyond incorporating it in our curriculum is going to the roots, which is family, which is, families, the nuclear families, being intentional in making sure that their children get to know about their languages is very, very key. I think that's the best, because apart from when he introduced me, I wear a lot of hats, and one of them is because of my love for my language, and for me to continue to make impact, I also instruct people. I teach people Igbo, and most of my students are adults. Like 90% of them are adults who want to learn their language because their parents were not intentional in teaching them about their languages. And you would think that you have younger students signing up, but no, it's the adults, because they feel left out. They want to identify with their culture. They want to know more about their culture and their languages. So I think the way to address this thing is for parents to be more intentional with their children, because that's the only way we can solve this problem and catch them young.
And I think it's important to also highlight the fact that our mother languages are cool, right? They are cool enough.
Yeah.
I remember then they tell you don't speak vernacular, and that's already a tag that's been given to a mother language that is in itself has a lot of expressions. I mean, you can listen to the proverbs in our mother language. They're beautiful, they're rich. It's even hard to translate them to English without losing that richness. It's deeper when you say it the way it is. And it just reminds me, and I think to Anthony here, perhaps both of you, how to make our mother tongues, how to make them cool enough. Because they are actually cool. We see a lot of animations that are now, stories of Shango and the rest, and people are like, wow, where did you hide these stories? Where have they been? We see our fashion, the Adire and all of that. We go out there and people are like, wow, this is cool. So Anthony, the previous government came up with this policy. I know it hit a lot of, basbos, or literally people gave it a lot of basbos when it was announced that, primary school teaching should be in your mother language. That's the Buhari government just at the tail end. So was that the way to go then? Because now we're looking back and thinking, maybe this was actually the good way to go. Perhaps the timing was another thing entirely, because we're battling a lot of things. But do you think that's a policy we should follow through with?
100%. As far as the timing is concerned, they say better late than never. I think the issue, if you really look into it, the former Minister of Education, Adamu, had actually spent the majority of his tenure as the minister to try and pass this policy. It took him about 7 years. And so I think that speaks to bureaucracy, but it also speaks to the idea or the notion that this has been an issue for a long time. It just hasn't been addressed. And so now that we're finally addressing it, there's still time, because we still have the time, we still have our elders, we still have people that are eager and willing to try and repurpose and modernize our languages to be able to fit into STEM subjects like science, technology, mathematics, and so forth. So we have the energy, we have the zeal, and we have the resources to be able to do this. It's just, again, being able to galvanize that support and the resolve, which is why today as a company, we're hosting an event on International Mother Language Day to sort of spearhead our grant program called No Nigerian Language Left Behind. And it stems from the idea that all languages in Nigeria are equal. We want to step away from the notion that there's a major and a minor, there's a small and a big. We believe that this work can help to bring about inclusion, among other things, to help Nigerians to identify with each other and understand each other better. So I 100% believe that even though it might have took our government a long time to get this done, it doesn't knock the fact that it's very necessary.
Indeed, very, very necessary, which is why I want to follow through yet again with the point about instructing in indigenous languages. Oluchi said earlier that it just may be inefficient, and for good reason, when you consider that most parents from generations before our generations have not been particularly intentional. But if we left it, that way, isn't it more to lose than to gain? What if we considered a combination of instruction in both English and indigenous languages such that we can get more children to be able to speak their mother tongue? Oluchi, that's for you.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. It can also help. So I feel addressing, making our indigenous languages, promoting our indigenous languages is a combination of a lot of things. Policies, which includes instruction, teaching languages, subjects such as mathematics and English in our indigenous language. It will also help. I mean, it's more like it's going to make it more out there, going to make the students, realize that beyond just it being a means of communication, you can also learn using your own mother tongue. So it's a combination of a lot of things, even technology, just like what he's doing and what we're also doing where I instruct in Igbo, which is called Top Set. We're leveraging technology to also promote our mother language. So it's a combination of a lot of things.
So Anthony, let me come to you on this particular one with essentially, because sometimes I'm curious to see people who were born in London, maybe speak Yoruba and all of that. I wonder how to do it. But let's come back home to some of the challenges we are facing. Do you think that, or what do you propose should be done in generating that critical mass of how it is important for us as a people not to lose that language identity and carry it on wherever we go? I'm impressed by how you look. You embody it yourself. You just don't want to speak it alone. You look like a Niger Delta chief from somewhere in Edo State and all of that. So how do we help get that critical mass? Not just the fact that we're speaking it, to tell people that this is important as a journey through life. So you're in the boardroom, you're in professional spaces, it's important.
I think that's the biggest question, is how do we get our youth, the next generation, to understand that our culture is paramount. It's a question that I think me and my team seek to answer every day. And one of the ways we try to do that is to meet young people where they are, which is online. That's the reason why we're digitizing Nigerian languages, but we're also trying to make it entertaining. We use animations, we use cartoons, we use music. And really the idea here is to make them see that our languages aren't fossils to be sort of observed in a museum and you just kind of look and say, oh, wow, that's how things were back then. it's supposed to be a living and breathing thing that can change as time goes on, and it's a part of you. Personally, in my own journey in learning my own mother tongue, I've come to understand things about myself, about my family, and about the history of my heritage, of my people, and what that's done for me in terms of personal growth and the confidence whenever I'm in international circles is what to know where you come from. It's beyond words what that does to your psyche, and I think that what we need to do. I think Oluchi's point about making sure that as in our families that we speak the language. I try to do that in my own family as well. I try to speak Asan to my wife. I try to speak Asan to my daughters at every opportunity that I get. But that we have to all just understand that this is a collective issue. A problem shared is a problem solved. And we just need to come to that understanding that our languages are important and our culture is the key, especially to solving the educational crisis that we're facing right now. Aside from just cultural preservation, if we really want to solve the systemic issues in our country, like education, you have to go back to education and culture and language. That's my belief.
And it's not far-fetched. I mean, if you just take a look at some of the countries doing great, you see that they're still big on their indigenous languages. It's even on their keyboards. It's how they instruct. It's how they do things. And that's how technology grows from there. But, I mean, we've said a lot of English, right? So I want us to break it down now. Let's do some knowledge transfer. I speak Yoruba very well. I know you speak Igbo, right? Bukola, you be the Hausa speaker for us on the show this morning.
Oh, God. So don't disgrace me.
So it's going to be simple. It's going to be simple. Jeffrey,
I only speak a little.
A little of it. I mean, that's great. Jeffrey, which of the languages are you choosing?
I speak my mother tongue. My language is actually called Obolo.
Obolo.
Yeah. Okay. So, but you know, I'm from Akwa Ibom.
I love that.
But people will think, oh, everybody speaks Ibibio. But there's Ibibio, there's Anang, there's, what do you call it now? Oron. Then there's Obolo. They speak in Akwa Ibom and they speak in River State.
So that's what you're giving us this morning.
I'm half-caste, you know, that is just...
And actually, of course, you speak Esan for us. Someone, by the way, wants to know what pounded yam is in Esan. So this is what we'll do. We'll talk about the basics in our language. So basics like, hello, how are you? Does that work?
Yeah, sure.
Hello, how are you? Then we've said God bless Nigeria. So hello, how are you? And then maybe any other thing you want to say, you translate. So I'll start. In my language, if you want to say hello, how are you?
So what is Bukola going to speak, by the way?
Well, I'll try the smattering Hausa that I know.
Bukola is she's being humble.
I'm going to add one line of Hausa.
Okay, there you go. So hello, how are you? How are you is Bawoni in Yoruba. But what is hello?
Hello.
You see? There you go. So those are the challenges. Some of those words don't exist, but if I want to say hello... No way.
Hello.
So you say, Bawoni. If I want to speak to Bukola, I'll say, Bawoni, Aburomi.
Dadani.
You want me to respond in Hausa?
So you could respond in Hausa.
I'll try. I don't know hello in Hausa, but I could try some of the greetings. Inawuni, Inagejia, Ya, Lafia Kalo. I hope my Hausa friends. I hope I tried.
The only thing I know in Hausa, which I like very much, is Zokachi Abenchi.
Come and eat.
Zokachi Abenchi.
Of course, Jeffrey will not come and eat in Hausa.
Zokachi Abenchi.
Beautiful. So Zokachi Abenchi.
Anything that has food around it is nice.
You find Jeffrey there. So
in Igbo you say Ndewo. That's hello. Kedu Kimere. Have you eaten this one? Have you eaten?
And then what's Bolachi?
No, right?
Bolachi is good morning.
Good morning, yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
So did you want to pray for Nigeria and Europe?
No, I've not said my own, no.
We'll come to you. Do you want to...
Oh, yeah, pray for
Due to popular demand, by the way.
Due to popular demand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just a short prayer.
I was just told that now.
Wow, okay. The first one we said, Chukwu Gozie Nigeria. Chineke mee ebere ka obodo anyị dị mma n'aha Jesus.
Amen.
Amen.
How do you say amen in Igbo?
Amen.
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 Jeffrey,
your turn.
No, not to pray, right? What is it? Hello, how are you? No, that's too deep for me. If you're talking to anybody, say Ngwang Irere. How are you? Irere. Ngwang Irere.
So how do I say I'm fine?
Izang.
Izang.
But if you want to say in Ibibio, Daarorie.
Then what do I say?
Idioko.
Idioko. Oh, it's just like Abadie. Idioko.
Abadi Idioko.
Ah, I love
So
that.
Ngwang, Irere, Izang, that's Obolo.
Yeah.
Then if you want to speak Ibibio, that means, I don't know what to call that. Daarorie.
Idioko.
Idioko.
Idemfo.
That's what does that mean, by the way?
How are you?
How's your body?
And-
Are you really good?
Yeah,
You know, see, these languages are
from
deep.
here.
It's not just how are you, it is how is your body.
Yeah.
It goes deeper than just how are you. Anthony, we're coming to you now. By the way, someone wants you to say pounded yam. I want to eat pounded yam in your language. But you could start with hello, how are you then? I want to eat pounded yam.
All right. So to say hello in Asan, that's do. To say how are you, that is bodjaye. You want to say I want to eat pounded yam, you'll say melmelema.
I almost said he said whatever.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
And I think
I
Anthony
love that.
is just a perfect example how your accent, your background shouldn't limit you in any way. You should always go back to your root. And we must commend both of you. I like what you're doing, making our languages cool enough. And I love the way you're wearing it like a badge. So
Let's tell the people as well. So we had said, and our producer is on us, so please, so that we'll keep our job. Our producer has said, and we are also saying to you, please, send the videos of how you say, what's that again? Hello, how are you? Or God bless Nigeria.
Yeah.
In my language, is Awazigbana Nigeria. I don't know how you say it in your language. Awazigbana Nigeria. So what do you say? Very short one, just as simple as I've said it. Send it to WhatsApp, and the number, we're going to scroll that number yet again. So as much as possible, let's see. Or you can just write it on X.
it's just right there.
Let's see whether we can read your language. Hashtag CTV Morning Brief. Carry.
There you go. I mean, we could go on and on. So I should add the languages I've learned to my CV. I don't just speak English, Yoruba, Pidgin, by the way. That's another
Pidgin.
important language. I now speak Obolo.
Obolo.
I speak Igbo. I speak a little bit of Hausa and Esa.
Kayode, do you speak Egba?
I speak Egba, Bawa.
So for,
No, just not one word Egba.
I did. I tried this morning.
Smooth sail.
Egba is it's a color under blessed in Nigeria.
Well,
so for
Mr. Otaigbe, that's an added job description for you to help us be able to speak some of those sub-dialects of our main language. We hope that will be a component
my language,
of Izesa.
My language also has sub-dialects. So the generality, they call us Andoni. But the language is called Obolo. The people are Obolo people. So I will need a chieftaincy title for this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to thank you so much. Obviously, we're having too much fun on this particular conversation. Anthony Otaigbe, as CEO Izesa, thank you so much. I wish you the very best. I know it's a big day for you. Thank you for your time, and I wish you the best with the work you do with Izesa.
Thank you so much.
As well as Onuchi Anoro, Igbo language advocate, thank you for your work and for this that you're championing. Wish you the best always.
Thank you for having me.
And I must comment about that hair.
So we say
It's very
Dalu.
African magic. Like. Thank you.
No.
There you go. That's a conversation on our indigenous mother language.
So you have to outro this segment with your language, please.
So Eshegoni, which means thank you. Amakpadawa.
We're returning.
We're returning in a moment. Stay with us. It's a morning brief.